Good afternoon, everyone. This is Neil Bomberg from the NARC staff. On behalf of NARC's Executive Director, Leslie Wallach, I'd like to welcome you to Regional Response to the COVID-19 Pandemic, Part 2, Information Technology Solutions. We are delighted you have joined us, and we sincerely hope this call proves very helpful to you as you seek solutions to information technology issues you may be experiencing. All of us are moving through uncharted waters, and the need to share information, learn from one another, and help one another is probably greater now than ever before. I would like, I would now like to introduce Shawn Hufstedler. Shawn is the Chief of Staff and Director of Operations at the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. Shawn will serve as a moderator and a presenter. So without further delay, let me turn the call over to Shawn.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. And I hope all of you are remaining healthy and your families and friends are doing the same. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If not, Neil or Eli can let me know. Again, my name is Shawn Hufstedler, and I'm the Chief of Staff and Director of Operations at the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, also known as MORPC. My department handles the internal operations, and a key area of that is IT. So our IT Director, Shang, will talk to you next about some of the actions that he and his team have taken over the past week and his observations and suggestions. But I wanted to cover a few things before he gets on, and then after him will be Tanya Nguyen as well. So let me just cover a few different things, and Brian and Tanya can get into some more details after that. So obviously this is a pandemic. It's something we've never dealt with before, and we're monitoring the situation as changing daily, or more like hourly, it seems like. And while we need to take it seriously, obviously, we also don't need to panic. So a couple things that we've kind of taken on to help our teams. A piece of it is focus. Hard work and problem solving is definitely something that we think is key. And a calm approach is vital as well, because while it's a pandemic, we still need to keep calm and be able to do our work and find the best solutions. And also communication. Part of it is communicating with our team members, and that's, I think, something that we've been able to do decently well, and it's been helpful. We've been successful to date because we do have a great team, and we're able to provide them with information, and people are remaining calm and they're understanding as we change the way we work. One main reason I'd say that we have been able to do so is because we have good leadership of our Executive Director, William Murdoch, who some of you know, and the good work of our IT team and our other teams. So all of that comes into play, and again, the good communication to help our whole MORPC team stay calm is also an important piece of the pie here. So let me get into a couple IT keys, and then Brian can get you some more information after that. It's a little bit more detailed. One of the ways we're communicating is through our intranet site that Brian and his team manage. We call it One MORPC. It's SharePoint based, and we are keeping the coronavirus information and resources on that page. So all of our staff can quickly go there, and even if they remember they heard something briefly but can't quite remember, they can go and see what we've been talking about. We've got links to the proper authorities, such as the Ohio Department of Health and the CDC and many others. And we've also added internal policy changes and notes there. Friday, we had an all-staff meeting where our Executive Director shared a few changes, and we summarized that conversation and added that communication to the internet site. Since then, it's only been a little more than a working day since then, or I guess 2 now. And I've had questions directly, and it was about things that were there, so I pointed people back to that internet site as well. So we were fortunate at MORPC that we have been moving everyone to laptops over the past couple of years, and that's obviously something that I'm sure everybody, if they are on laptops, they know how important that is, and if they're not, they're wishing they were probably at this point. I'll tell you though, we were not quite there a week ago. we had 13 people on our 80-person team that still had desktops. Our IT team was able to provide laptops and get them set up for the remaining team members over the past week. Some of those were ready to be deployed or in-house already. Some they needed to pull off the shelf in the to be recycled shelf and get them back up to snuff. So now all of our team members can work remotely. And Brian can talk a little bit more about some of the specific challenges with things like the GIS, people that work in the GIS world and phone systems and that sort of thing. A couple of logistical items. We asked everyone to forward their work phones to cell or home phones, or to monitor their email for calls. We have a system where all of our voicemails go to email as a voice message. On Friday, we asked all of our team to work from home as a test. So this is all happening quickly. We hadn't had a mass group of people working from home. And so we said, hey, pretty much everybody go work from home on Friday. We had people work from home occasionally and periodically, but not practically the whole office at once. Overall, it was very successful. We worked out some kinks along the way. And then, as I mentioned, our executive director had an all-staff meeting Friday where we strongly recommended to all of our team members that they work remotely for the foreseeable future. So right now we are allowing people to come into the office if there's good reason to do so, but but that's limited to the amount of time that's needed, and we're also asking them to communicate and coordinate with their team members too. So a good piece of that is making sure that physical distancing or social distancing is a required aspect of that. If you're going to be in the office, then you need to make sure you're not too close to other people to practice that good social distancing. So another advantage I'd say that we have is we're able to handle team meetings and calls through Microsoft Teams. We were already on Office 365. Brian and his team had just switched us over to that as our primary conference call software. And that was just done in the last few weeks. And so Brian actually got everyone in the agency conference call number last week to make sure that if we did need to do this through the phone, we could. We implemented and started using that heavily on Friday and Monday, and I'd say most people are already comfortable with it. Not everyone, but most people are pretty comfortable with it at this point. And I think we're all still learning a little bit about sharing screens and muting and all kinds of other things, but it's going pretty well, and I'm sure we'll still have questions from some folks that aren't very comfortable with any technology changes for weeks to come, but for the most part, it's been pretty successful. So I want to talk a little bit about some internal functions, such as payroll and accounting. So we're in a situation where our timekeeping system and our purchase order system are already web-based. So we didn't need to make any changes there. Actually, people actually completed and approved their timesheets quicker than usual this last on Friday and Monday. I think probably because they're more focused on the internal functions as they work remotely. So silver linings, right? Our payroll system is actually through our county, Franklin County in Central Ohio, where Columbus is located. So we already had remote access to their system, and we've been able to continue that using as we use the payroll system that we enter data into there. So far we have web-based for the timekeeping system. Payroll system is a remote access, and then our accounting system is something that we do host on site at Morpsey. We have a Abilla MIP for those that are interested in knowing what the system is, so we do host that on a server in our office. And since we have remote access capabilities, and our finance team has done this over the past several years anyway, we've been able to successfully continue to access the system remotely, and it has not been a particular issue. So we've kind of got all facets of the options there in terms of how we use the different kinds of accounting and payroll systems. In terms of our paper-based processes, so thinking about things like invoicing, I'll use that as an example. We have a primarily paper-based process, which is required by our county that actually cuts our checks for us. We do all the processing and then hand the batches over to them, and they actually write the checks for us. So they require a paper-based process. It'll be interesting to see what happens a half a year from now after this crisis is over, and if that all stays the same. Any invoices and backup that's coming in via hard copy are being scanned at this point. We're using the Adobe Scan app on a smartphone. Our AP processor downloaded the free app and is using that to scan our documents and make them electronic. So our finance team was able to develop a simple electronic approval process as well for our invoices, just using email and Adobe signatures. So if the invoice comes in via hard copy, we can scan it, send it to the appropriate approver or approvers by email. They use Adobe signatures to approve the invoice and then send it back electronically. So we had our practice remote work day on Friday, and then this process was developed and distributed Monday, and we're using it today. So some quick changes have occurred over the past few days here. Final key points, and then I'll hopefully here I'll stop talking and let our experts get involved a little bit here. So one thing I'd just like to point out is that you can implement technologies or take the next leap pretty quickly. It requires good communication and good help with questions and issues, but also in a calm approach. We've had some success here, and I think what we're seeing, not just at Morpsey, but even across the state of Ohio and probably the nation, is that people are a little more willing to take those leaps at the moment. So keep that in mind. Some creative problem solving is pretty helpful too. Every organization is going to be different depending on your own setup and your own needs. And there will be challenges. Some of the things that you think might work cleanly, and you'll end up having some hiccups with them. But people, my experience so far, and I think Brian's has been that people will likely be very understanding in this scenario. So one suggestion before I turn it over to Brian is this. Well, it might be difficult to see beyond this week or this month. Try to pay attention to what you may be able to take from this crisis and use that to your advantage in the future. So how can we keep technological advancements that we're implementing now and change the way we work gets done in the future? What efficiencies have been gained along the way? What can we do to better prepare when the next crisis comes along? So those are some key points that I wanted to point out. Hopefully Brian Shang was able to join us. I guess the biggest key for me has been to have Brian and his team that can make what sometimes appears to be magic happen and implement these things. He's done some of it. They've done some of it over time as planning occurred, and some of it very quickly. You can't have Brian or his team, but hopefully you have your own Brian or at your organization, or maybe you are the Brian at your organization. Eli, do we have Brian on the line?
I think we're still having some trouble with Brian's audio. So if we could have Tanya go next, I think that would give him a little bit more time to figure that out, if that would be okay.
Sounds good. So we'll have Tanya Nguyen next, and I'll let Tanya, if you could introduce yourself a little bit more, that'd be great, and take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Shawn. Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Nguyen. I'm the Director of Data Services at the Houston-Galveston Area Council. The last few days are just crazy. I share all of what Shawn just said, and it's very common to our environment here, with a little bit of different on your solution. And I'm going to talk about what we did and introduce the department, how we handle the situation. So the data services is the IT group of the Houston-Galveston Area Council. I handled the 911 infrastructure support for the region, the web team for the web public interface. I have 2 team members there, and I have SharePoint. We have a full-blown SharePoint site that we implemented a couple of years ago, and that's all of our documents in one system. It's a hybrid solution, so half is on-premise and half is in Microsoft Cloud. And I have a network support team of 5, and that handles everything from the internet to phone system, server, database, and help desk. HGAC have about 264 employees. And last week, we started out as a drill. Our executive director wanted to have a drill for the whole agency, 264 employees, to be able to VPN from home over a 3-day period. So we create a sign-up sheet for staff to sign up when they would like to perform the test. So the window of the test is from 9 to 10, and I have a checklist of all the applications after they get connected to VPN. What can they do? Contract, payroll, accounting, purchasing, timesheet. The drill is supposed for me to gauge our capability and our bandwidth requirement. So that test spans from Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning to complete the test. Everyone who connected using their own computer, or if they don't have a computer, we allow them to check out a laptop from HGAC. HGAC, we have a mix of laptop and desktop, but majority of us are still on desktop. So everyone using their own computer to VPN into our network using the Sonic box. So that test was very helpful. It's helpful to help us identify issue that staff have if they have to telework. It helps us flush out documentation, what we need to do, what we need to address. And so bandwidth is one of them. In the 1 hour time frame, we realized that bandwidth, the internet pipe went up to 90% utilization. So we realized if we go on full VPN, that would be a problem. Phone system, we have a voice over IP, but staff have to forward their phone extension to their cell phone. And some of them have out of town, long distance, and that's a limitation that our phone system cannot accommodate. And a few more glitches. But the drill is a very good vehicle for us to gauge where we are and where we need to go. So within 3 days, I was able to contact AT&T, and they doubled the bandwidth. Under the COVID-19, they have a policy that no wait time and 5 days turnaround. We increased the short-tail license to allow people to use their mobile phone as their work phone. So it's an app that they install on their mobile phone connected to our server, and they can make a voice call from their cell phone and receive a call as though they are calling from HGAC. So that is something that we implement overnight to help them. Another vehicle we use is the mass notification system, OmniAlert. That's the system that we subscribed to several years ago to respond to disaster. And we're using that to send out mass text messages to employees. This morning, we sent it to the board of directors because the meeting had changed from on-site to audio conference. So we implemented all that. And the key here is training and documentation, because our network is set up in 3 different places. Some are on premises, some are on the cloud. We have Office 365 that staff could get to on the cloud without having to VPN into HGAC. So we have to document and show them and conduct training for everyone to help them understand how do they connect if they need to fill out timesheets. How do they connect if they need to do payroll. And so it's a 3 different areas that we group them and we show them how to connect. So the report I got back from the survey is that maybe a handful of them have a problem with the VPN, mostly because they type in the wrong URL or the convention of the username. but it's not anything that is major. So our staff, I created a phone extension where if they work from home, they call that number, and everyone on IT phone number would ring, and it will the one that is free at the moment could answer the phone. And that extension is ringing 4 of my staff phone, except for the manager. So within that, we were able to resolve all of the problem that came across us on the phone. And like Shawn, we created a page on our SharePoint site in a cloud that point the staff all issue regarding this problem. They can go there to get announcements from our executive directors, CDC resources, health department news and announcements, and VPN instructions and phone number hotline if they need to contact us for help. And that is coming up within 5 days time span. And we started out Monday with phase 1 VPN, only those with small children that school are closed. And then Tuesday we are going phase 2. That means anybody wants to VPN could VPN. So overnight we have half of HEAC working from home. So I have another one. I'm looking at my list of talk here. So team is the primary meeting for HEAC. We wrote teams out, and we purchased the audio number for the phone number assigned to the team meeting. We rolled it out to just programs and not individual, so that they can conduct the team meeting online with outsider with a phone number assigned to it. We are conducting several team meeting training for staff throughout the day. We are using Citrix ShareFile. That's a cloud-based for staff to upload large files for sharing with the public, or even sharing with internal, so that they don't have to send via email. A lot of that is being used for receiving IFP. If we need to do a purchase, that will be the place where the vendor will load the IFP, and the purchasing department can review. We have an online IFP scoring for the committee. We put it on the website where the outsider could get to, and behind the firewall to do their IFP scoring for any kind of cooperative purchasing, and all of HEAC purchasing during the time that they work from home. So all that is being ironed out and support. Our Sonic Wall VPN can support up to 250 concurrent sessions. So I encourage most of the staff, if they can go to the cloud and get their documents on OneDrive, to alleviate some of the bandwidth, save some of the bandwidth for GIS staff who have to VPN into their desktop here to do the work. So that's what, in a nutshell, high level of what I've been dealing with the last few days. And like I say, it's try and learning on within the last few days. It's just there's no time to reset and redo and relearn. My staff asking if we could reset teams and roll back, but there's no going back. It's just going forward. And so with this, I think if we coordinate with the agency, we have a very good plan moving forward. I'm open for questions if you have any questions.
Thanks, Tanya. I think we'll do questions at the end. It was going to be right after yours, but hopefully we now have Brian on the line. We had some technical difficulties, so as Tanya said, we need to move forward, right? So we're going to move forward, and I think we've got those worked out, and Brian can give you a little more update about some of the details that we that he experienced as we've gone through this process at MORPC. Brian?
All right, thank you, Shawn. Well, sorry about the delay that I do have, technical person have a technical difficulty is a really awkward moment. Hello, everyone. Hope you are all sitting by yourself or 6 feet away from your neighbors to apply social distancing during this conference call. My name is Shang. I humbly do share my team's practice to prepare IT solutions in MORPC to prepare the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. For the next 10 minutes, because there might be a good portion of the audience are not technical savvy, so I will try not to use much of the technical terms in my presentation. Instead, I will focus on the practice to enable us to work from home by using existing MORPC IT resources and the designs. Two things I have learned from my previous days with emergency management and homeland security. First, during the situational event, IT needs to carry out operation continuously. Communication, i.e., stay connected, is the key. Second, be resilient. Plan a business continuity plan as a part of the strategic planning. We said, during this difficult time, my team takes a full responsibility to take MORPC continuing to operate. So my goal is to enable a full range of work from home scenarios to the entire MORPC staff members. Let me jump into the communication first. MORPC continues to expand using existing SharePoint function and uses this internal web service to populate and update IT protocol, security protocol, guides, instruction, news, and resources, which Shawn already introduced earlier. About a year ago, I was asked to be in a conversation with a number of NARC members on selecting customer relationship management solution. MORPC presented in that event, and we chose Microsoft Dynamics, and now we use this system heavily to reach out to the specific groups of external partners and agencies. MORPC uses Microsoft Teams like Houston does. A number of reasons leads us to this solution. The main reason is that this decision aligns with our strategic goal. Other strategic reasons are it offers the integrated platforms and services along with Microsoft Office 365 products. It also offers MORPC a well-rounded solution in collaboration because it is a collaboration platform. It has a great incentives in cost, so-called, if you wanted to call it a denominator management in cost and benefit analysis, if you will, for nonprofit organizations, so it is very affordable. It has a cloud management tools, which is part of our Office 365 management console. It is very scalable, easy to assign seat license. It builds upon existing invoice system, so it is easy to for invoice and the payment process as well. For IT, data management and data retention will be better managed through this platform and this solution as well. In January, Microsoft Teams became the default video conference platform for MORPC. Its video conference can hold up to 250 concurrent meeting connection and up to 10,000 connection for a live event. Again, it is very scalable. Teleconference feature like Houston does, we apply to every single line for every user when they schedule the video-based conference meeting. MORPC has seen many of the teams created for small groups or for big projects, including internal and external partners listed as guests, and all of this could be integrated with CRM. The other big piece we have is a ticketing system, which is an online service. It is essential to connect the IT staff with all staff while we are working from home. Cloud-based application with mobile apps allow the ticket agents to access. User could create tickets through a browser or a phone call. Once we are on the secured MOPSI network, IT staff could use the Microsoft Quick Assist to remote onto users' laptop to triage the issue. On the operation side, about 2 weeks ago, my team educated the entire MOPSI staff to understand that there will be a difference when we work from home. IT worked with the departments in defining essential, which is core application or function or roles. We must prioritize them so IT can design the infrastructure and plan accordingly. For MOPSI, it's still a work in progress, but my team has learned new things frequently, and we assess every new procurement and deployment against this strategic goal. I was a planner before by training. I was a GIS programmer practitioner as well before I dived into the IT. I fully understand what the technology a user or planner might need the most. Office products, GIS, and Adobe applications are lined up from the most important to the least. MOPSI uses Office 365 with a secure connection, which is VPN, so all the users could access network drives and applications. It is the highest priority, which we are 100% capable today. MOPSI heavily uses GIS as well. It draws lots of the data. Feedback from current users are mixed. Majority of the issues will be on the internet connection on user side. It is difficult to measure and apply solution at this point. MOPSI also uses Adobe Creative Suite. It is 100% capable to conduct in working from home scenario right now. So MOPSI also prepares for this coronavirus crisis starting in late January. The tasks we completed including the following: update the IT inventory, begins to stock up the IT supplies such as the printer cartridges, drums, paper, computer accessories in February. We do the same, expand the concurrent VPN connection through Sonic Wall from 25 to 100. Monitor internet connection and bandwidth for possible expansion and redundancy design. Order cell phones for intake staff to continue to work with the clients. Make and update policies, guidelines, instructions, being ready for work from home. Operation department and all departments fully support for this quick implementation. We also work with HR to update the emergency contact for all employees. We work with partner agencies such as health and EMA and the local jurisdictions in using existing mass notification system to reach out to the entire population if we need. As Shawn said earlier, we prepare laptops for every full-time employee by March 12th. We conducted a staff meeting by using Teams and testing the work from home scenario in March 13th. My team was able to deploy additional available laptops for interns yesterday. So for now, MOPSI should be truly capable to conduct work from home to the highest level. For the past several days, my team also learned a couple things. Continues to cover all identified areas with primary and backup personnel for the worst scenario, such as one of my staff is sick. Monitors the network and security. Always focus on the scope, assess the process, educate staff, doing some team building and plan ahead with a rolling wave approach. And IT already identified a couple things in the areas we will continue to make an improvement for the next couple days and weeks. 3 more thoughts I would like to share with the group. 1, for the executive director and the leaders, please involve your IT at all levels at a regular basis. IT needs to be directly under you in your organization to maximize its value and be able to take the lead on changes whenever the situation becomes. The second, if you are relying on the third-party services, a strategic plan, guidelines, and SOP needs to be designed and exercised ahead of time. The third one, security at this point is the foremost important concern. While we are all on the cyberspace, continue to conduct a good practice to avoid any unauthorized devices connect to your secure network. Ask staff to watch suspicious emails and sites. Continue to train your staff with the phishing email testing, because we already received lots of the high alert from Homeland Security community on these potential attacks during this time. Lastly, I would like to say this absolutely is a team effort to be able to successfully transform a pretty traditional regional planning agency into a virtual one within days. Now I'm going to turn it over to Shawn.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks, Tanya, for both of you for your excellent presentations. Hopefully that's some pretty good help for some of those folks on the phone. It's clear that communication and connectivity are some big keys to success in this situation. So now I'd like to ask Eli Spang of the NARC staff to explain how the question, answer, and comment portion of the call will work. Eli?
All right, thank you there, Shawn. So we still have a good number of people on the line, and I think quite a few questions, but I'm going to open up the audio line so people can just ask questions verbally. We've had a few people write them in, but I think we'll just start with verbal questions. So if you can just unmute yourself and then ask your question and then remute, we'll go with that. And I'm sorry if there's a little bit of people talking over each other because we, as I said, still have a good number of people on the line.
Hi, this is Tim Reardon. I'm the Director of Data Services at the Metropolitan Area Planning Council in Boston. One question we had is for both teams or for both agencies, when you were assigning Microsoft Teams audio conference numbers, did you have to purchase a new phone system or new lines, or did you port those numbers directly to Microsoft Teams? Did you buy them from them? How did that process work?
For HTA,
Oh, this is Brian.
I'm going to say for
Go ahead,
HTA,
Tanya.
yeah, we purchased the license just on Friday from Microsoft directly using our credit card, and the fee is $4 per user, and the team audio is tied to a name. So we purchased 20, and we decided we're going to start with 20, and it's tied to a user. When we create, when the user that with the license assigned, when they create a meeting, a number will be generated and included in the meeting invite. We didn't use a new number. We used the number assigned by Microsoft.
Yeah, I agree that this is Brian. We are with North Sea Medial High Regional Planning Commission. When we pretty much just went online to use the Office 365 Management Console, using that to purchase all the credits and get 5 lines that for the local number that we can rotate it to use. So you pretty much can get everything done through the the console.
Yeah. This is Shawn Hufstedler with Morpsey. Just to add one more piece to that, we originally, Brian had set us up with maybe it was just 20 or something like that, different phone numbers that we purchased through the teams, as both of them just described. And because if you are using Teams and joining Teams through your computer and doing all the audio and video through the computer, you don't actually need a phone number. The conference call number is to allow those that aren't joining through a computer to use the number that way, or that maybe they're going to have the video through the computer but want to use their phone for the audio. So once we went to everybody working from home all the time, Brian increased that number up to making sure that everybody had access to the phone numbers. Does that make sense?
Hi, this is Ray from Atlanta Regional Commission, Atlanta. Just a quick question. What tenant are you guys using? Is it ECC or GCC?
We're using the BCC, the business tenant
No, I mean the license itself. Is it
license.
enterprise or government? Because I think that makes a difference when you try to get the phone numbers.
I don't have that information.
Okay.
Neither
Tanya,
do I.
thanks.
This
Neither
is
do I. Yeah, we are using the nonprofit, so pretty much the cost is really low.
yeah.
Okay,
This
GCC then.
is Hassan Bahrain. I'm with Mid America Regional Council in Kansas City. We are nonprofit, and the cost for us is $1.60 per user per month to use that functionality.
Yeah, you are right.
And see, I wonder because it varies. I was given a quote of $3.61. I see Tanya's paying $4, and then I hear you guys paying a
$4.
different one.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out which one. Because we're all nonprofit. I think that's on the line. I just have to try to talk to the rep to figure out the difference.
Yeah, let me take a quick look and let you know what license we purchased. The one that we're using for this is called, it's slow coming up here. It is the Microsoft 365 audio conferencing.
Okay.
And that's the one that is $1.60 per user per month.
And you ordered it straight from the admin portal?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, this is used only when somebody is trying to join your meeting by phone without going through a computer or anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we found that out during the drill that some of the users were using their desktop at home to connect to Teams. And of course, the desktop doesn't have the video or the audio.
Mm-hmm.
So we found out that a few of them were having that problem trying to connect via Teams. And that's the reason why we went out and we say we're going to enable the audio portion.
There's also an option we saw when you try to join the meeting in Teams that it says it will call you back. So you can give it a phone number and it will call you back. I don't know if that requires this licensing or not, or if it's just provided as part of Teams.
I didn't know about that.
I heard about it, but we never went to that far within limited time. So
right.
Yeah, but I believe that functionality is there, but we haven't explored that either. Yes.
Yeah, I tested it a couple of times and it worked fine. I gave it my cell phone number and actually called me and then said like press 1 to join the meeting, and I did, and I was on the meeting on my cell phone.
Awesome. And the airtime is really low as well. That, if I remember correct, that is probably 0.3 cents per minute.
Right.
And that's that per user?
For the toll-free number.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not using the toll-free number. I just got a local number. We're just using the local number.
For that, is it a cost per user per minute? Because I know some of the voice over IPs, that's how they charge. It's a charge per user per minute.
Only for the toll number, Ray. If for the local number that is signed by Microsoft in Teams, there's no minute per minute charge.
Right.
But if you want an 800 number, you can purchase one and pay a prepay, like a prepay fee, and it's charged per minute. I think it's 3 cents per minute for international or the per minute on that 800.
Yeah, this is Tim Reardon again, who asked the original question. I think we've ordered 4 or 5 of those like those $4 licenses that you mentioned, Tanya. But it seems to me that we only got one phone number with them, so we can't have like multiple concurrent meetings with a phone number. So unless we sort of set up the whole, do a whole phone system, which we already have one. So did you have to do something special to?
I am not aware of that. We just deployed that early this week, and my staff is still trying to figure it out and try to people how to do it. I will explore that.
This is Hassan from Kansas City again. I was able to go in there and add more phone numbers. You have to go and you add the phone numbers, and then you have to go to the old Skype interface, and then you can assign those to your conference bridge from the old Skype interface.
Yes, that is what we do as well. Yes.
Do you have to do that for every license, every user?
I was looking at the admin, so
okay.
I really didn't test it to see if a different user would get a different phone number or not. But right now it shows like we have 10 phone numbers in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe those the local number is rotated. Whenever people just schedule the meeting, that is rotated.
So this is Shawn Hufstedler with Morpsey again. So the teams will assign the number as you set up the call through your calendar or however you're setting it up. It'll pull up the number for you, but as Brian said, it rotates the number. So the meeting that I'm having right now might be different phone number than the meeting that I had this morning.
Who was that who mentioned going to the Skype interface? Because we might follow up with you on that.
That's me, Sasan Baharain in Kansas City, Mid-America Regional Council.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
Did anybody consider asking their staff to scatter their work schedule, basically even having different weekend days? Some people working on Saturdays, Sundays, as opposed to Monday, Wednesdays, or something like that.
No, not at HEAC. We assume that staff work their regular hour when they telework.
Okay. I just didn't know if that helps with bandwidth usage or.
We're going to up our bandwidth, and hopefully we can accommodate.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't had any issues yet. I just didn't know if that would help.
Yeah, don't know about that, but I know that all the IT guys, the past couple of days and weeks, and are going to be, busy again, regardless if it's weekday or weekends for a couple of days, because everybody is working from home. All the issues we are facing is very challenging for us as well.
Right.
This is Bert Granberg in Salt Lake City from Wasatch Regional Council. Hi, everybody. Hi, Tim. We are using Google's remote desktop built into G Suite to access our computers in the office. Everyone's working at home. And that does not go through VPN, but it's a secure, HTTPS-based solution. I'm wondering, is there something specifically about VPN that is a bandwidth hog? We have a few folks who are using VPN as well, but I'm kind of, if we shift more people to VPN, I'm wondering, like, is there a reason why that's taking up so much bandwidth?
I don't think so. I think the reason why we deploy VPN is that they will leave their computer on at work, and they will connect to it, and they will, once they log on, they will see everything that on that computer as though they're sitting in the office. But the processing is on the computer here. What's go through the bandwidth is just a screenshot and the mouse click when they try to perform their work. The only issue I received so far from the drill is from a few GIS users who is having problem working in a smaller screen versus when they have 3 screens to look at. So they have to work around moving screen around from their home. But as far as performance, they have not noticed anything. I have the modeling group that run high bandwidth processing, and they told me that they are running on weekends and at night.
Right.
This is Hassan Bahrain again from Kansas City. We're using 2 different ways to get to our system. One is through VPN, and one is through a RAS server. The RAS server allows you to take over your computer. Those are for people who have desktop computers here at work. They can actually get to it and run it, and it runs a lot faster than if they're using VPN from home directly. Because if they have a notebook and they're connected with VPN and they're opening files on the network drives and GIS databases and those sort of things, it's slower than if they're on the RAS server. I don't know if everybody else has the same experience or not.
We here in Atlanta have been okay for a while. We have a 500 meg circuit, so everyone has been connected, and I'm actually monitoring the circuit itself, and I mean, they're barely registering. So, and we do the whole gamut of things also, GIS and everything else. But we also connect through RDP also using a certificate server. So we haven't had any bandwidth issues at all.
Okay.
At MAPC, we do a similar thing, is encourage folks to try to do remote desktop connections. It actually then helps to reduce the load on our Citrix XenApp servers if more people are using their desktop computers. So, and folks love it because it's the same environment they work in every day, and especially our data staff who are using all kinds of, programs which we are just too problematic to install on the XenApp desktop.
Mm-hmm. And we try to encourage everyone to use OneDrive for Business if they don't have to be on the network and they just are opening files, to just use their computers and access those files from OneDrive for Business directly. That way they wouldn't even have to get on our network.
That's true. OneDrive is on Microsoft Cloud.
Right.
This is Bert in Salt Lake again. Of the folks who are using the Microsoft tool suite, did any of your agencies start with T Suite and migrate from Google to Microsoft?
No, not HGAC. We started with Microsoft.
Okay.
So is MOPC.
Sounds like that's a no. Sorry about that, Salt Lake.
Yeah.
This is Shawn Hufstedler again. It's 3:56 now. Just to respect everybody's time, if we've got 1 or 2 more questions, we can try to take those. This is some great sharing, and hopefully this can be some good thoughts for different people to connect back with each other after the call as well. Any other last couple questions here?
And I'm sorry to keep taking over call. This is Ray. I do have one question about the Adobe Signature. Did you guys say someone is using that and it was free? Do you need Adobe DC in order to use the signature piece of it?
Yeah, we had a similar question at MAPC, which is sort of what drove that decision versus other tools like DocuSign or Seamless Talks or so forth.
So for us at MORPC, Brian can probably answer the question of which version of Adobe it is that we're using, but there are two aspects of this that I mentioned on Adobe. One was just the Adobe app that scans, Adobe Scan, that you can just use on your phone to actually scan a document and get it into the email. I think so that was just an app that's at the starting point if you've got a hard copy piece of paper and you want to get it electronic, right? There are other apps out there that can do the same thing. It's just turning it into an electronic file. From the standpoint of what I think you're asking about is the signature aspect. So we are forwarding things along through our own email to different people. And so we are just using whatever our Adobe is that hopefully Brian can tell you, and if he can't, then I'll look it up real quick. But we're just allowing each individual to create our own signature within the Adobe document. This is for internal approvals, if you will. So, so you know, it's not my actual signature. It's whatever,
Right.
whatever I type in, and Adobe turns it into a signature for me, right? But that's enough for us internally to show who approved and who signed off on the internal documents. And there's also that trail that, yeah, it came from my email. So when April gets it from me, she sees, yep, it says Shawn Hufstedler and it came from Shawn's email. Okay, we're good, right? So it's just more of a quick electronic way for us to just acknowledge that we approve the invoice. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that is Adobe Professional. DC is not regular reader.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
We have a program in our agency that has to send documents to parents of children, and they have to sign it and send it back. They said Adobe Acrobat was too complicated for them because they had to do some, they had to like scan their signature or do something. I don't know what they had to do, but they're trying to use something called small PDF to sign PDF documents. It's smallpdf.com. And apparently they said it's a lot simpler to use for signing PDF documents.
Okay, wrote that down.
But for that one, does people need to upload this document over to the cloud?
Yeah, no, I don't. I think they're just emailing it back to them. I'm not sure. They're just signing it and emailing it back to them.
Okay. Yeah, if that is as convenient as you just said, that would be the very good useful tool. The only thing concern me is that if that has sensitive information and become the intellectual property of the third party, that could be an issue.
Exactly. And I told them if it has sensitive information, you can't use this. And they said, no, it doesn't have sensitive information.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, I'm going to guess we could keep talking for another hour, but to respect everybody's time, I'm going to ask that we cut it off here. And hopefully anybody that wants to circle back to anyone else that was on the phone or participating, feel free to do so. Neil, would you like to take it over here to close out? And again, thanks for including Morpsey in this.
Sure. Thanks very much, Shawn. First, let me just say on behalf of Leslie Wallach and the entire NARC staff, thank you very, very much, Shawn and Brian and Tanya, for these outstanding presentations, and also to everyone on the call for the excellent conversation and questions and discussion. Hopefully this was very, very helpful to you. And what I would add is that if you believe that calls like this on a more routine basis would be helpful to hold, we're more than happy to do that. And the best way, I think, would be just to let me know at Neil, that's NEIL, @narc.org. And we'll be happy to look at other possible times to schedule it. As part of our effort to help you address the COVID-19 pandemic, we have scheduled another webinar for tomorrow at 3 p.m. The webinar is called The Regional Response to the COVID-19 Epidemic Part 3, A Regional Conversation. And the focus of the webinar is going to be on continuity of operations, regional council support for their member cities and counties, public outreach, among other topics. Some of you may have received an email from us, and you can use that email to register for this webinar if you're interested. For those of you who may not have received an email, and Eli, please correct me if I get this wrong, but I believe you can go to our website and you will be able to register for this webinar later this afternoon. Thanks again for joining us. Stay healthy, wash your hands, and be safe. And we look forward to continuing the dialogue with you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.